Okay guys, we're not going to be messing around today, we're going to jump right into the review. Today we are going to be looking at... 2 seconds. I wonder who it could be. Hi there! Go away. Right, okay, as I was saying... I have a shitty movie for you to review. I've already got a shitty movie to review. Oh come on, it's really... Piss off! Okay. Just want to be loved. Fucking hell. Just wish that guy would leave me alone. Kinda hard, isn't it? Anyways, today we are going to be looking at Bloodfist 2. Yeah, does that cover look familiar? Yep, there's only one change. Can we say the same about the movie? Let's find out. Well, now that we're on to day 2 of Bloodfist week, I can say things are looking up a little bit more. Never thought I'd say that, especially after the abomination that was the first one. Bloodfist 2 is actually somewhat enjoyable, actually. I mean, I was quite surprised. Popping in the movie, I was expecting it to be like, much like the first one, you know, just generally bad. And it started off like that. Like, the first 25 minutes of the movie is just, it's terrible. It's like the first movie. It's rushed and is just, you know, there's no development. You don't know what the fuck's going on. But then, when it reaches the half-hour mark, it actually kind of picks up and it actually develops stuff. 2 seconds. Cleaning my glasses. So it actually kind of develops somewhat. It develops some of the characters somewhat, so you actually know what's going on. And there's a plot. I didn't think I was going to say that, but there is actually a plot. Although, I'll tell you what movie it's kind of ripping off. Yeah. Now, the reason why I say that is because, well, let's look at the plot. Basically, it's a bunch of people who have been taken to an island where they have to fight each other in a martial arts tournament, and then at the end of the movie, our main hero then goes out to find the guy who's in charge of the island, and then runs after him and has a big fight with him. Sound familiar? Yeah. It's not a blatant rip-off, but there are things that kind of make you go, yeah, that's Enter the Dragon. But it's still, it's a little weird. But, I'll tell you this though, one of the other things that I did think was better than the first movie was that the fighting was better. It was actually watchable, like you could actually enjoy the fight sequences, they were actually quite enjoyable. So, props to them for actually improving on that shit. You know? But what else is there? I could safely say that, like I said before, the development in the characters is a little bit better this time around. Like, for example, there's the woman, there's the main guy, Jake, and then there's the girl in the film, I can't remember her name. They wind up getting together. Fuck knows what happened to the stripper from the first movie. That's one of the problems that the first 20 minutes does. It acts like nothing happened in the previous movie. It shares no connection, but whatever. I'll discuss that in a minute. It's like, you know, him and the girl eventually get together, so it's like, okay, fair enough. At least this time, there's a fair bit of a lead-up to them getting together. Like, you could somewhat understand why they're together. It's still done poorly, like, you know, there's still kind of that, why are they getting together kind of feeling, you know? There's still that kind of feeling, but there's at least effort. There's at least a semblance of effort. And same really goes with the rest of the film, really. Shit just sort of happens. Like, it turns out that the main villain, the girl, you know, it turns out the girl is the daughter of the main villain, and then I don't know why that matters, really. I really don't know. and then of course it turns out the best friend of the main character is also one of the bad guys, and it's like, who gives a shit? I would have figured you would have figured it out sooner. And when those two characters fight, the best friend of the main character, Jake's best friend basically. When Jake and his best friend fight at the end of the film, you don't really feel like there's any build up. Plus, I'd also like to point out that this best friend character wasn't in the first movie. I don't know who the hell he is. So, like I said, no real build up in that regard. But I think it's about time I discuss something that made me piss myself. The editing. Now, the editing in the first movie was average, nothing special, a couple of problems here and there, but just kind of irky little problems. This movie has some of the funniest editing points I've ever seen. Like, let me think. There's the bit at the beginning where Jake kills a guy with a flying kick. It's terribly edited. There's the bit in the middle where Jake does another flying kick and it's really weirdly edited. And then there's when the villain dies. And it's hilarious. I can't really explain it. It's basically just a camera like coming down like this in front of the girl. And it's because the villain's falling off a balcony. And then when the camera gets to the bottom, like when it actually touches the ground, it doesn't cut like well before that. Instead it cuts right as it hits the ground, and then it shows footage of the guy falling more and then hitting the ground. And it's terrible. It really is absolutely terrible. But I really don't know what else to say beyond this, because really, apart from, the things that I've mentioned that are better than the first movie, it still suffers from problems that the first movie had. This is kind of one of the things I expected to happen while doing Bloodfist week. I did expect a couple of points where I'd just be like, it's kind of the same deal with the last one or something, But I can say that Bloodfist 2 is way more enjoyable. It has some somewhat decent action sequences, and it has a lot of hilariously terrible elements. You just have to be willing to sit through some of the same bullshit again. So, in other words, just skip the first 35 minutes of the movie, really. If you're just wanting some mindless action, just skip the first 35 minutes and watch the last hour. So, from the first one to the second one, I'd say this one's worth a look somewhat if you're into this kind of stuff, but even then I'm not 100%, but it is somewhat enjoyable, so I'd say check it out. Could be worse. Anyways, I'll catch you next time for Bloodfist 3.